हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, धन्यवाद प्रणाम।
धन्यवाद माता जी, जय श्री राम।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, धन्यवाद प्रणाम।
धन्यवाद प्रणाम माता जी, जय श्री
हरे
राम।
कृष्ण प्रभु जी, धन्यवाद प्रणाम।
धन्यवाद प्रणाम नंदुलाल प्रभु, हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, धन्यवाद प्रणाम।
यतिन प्रभु, धन्यवाद प्रणाम, हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
गौर जीवानी माता जी, धन्यवाद प्रणाम, हरे कृष्णा। Okay, thank you all for joining. Today's
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम प्रभु जी।
Radha Bhavani Mata ji, धन्यवाद प्रणाम, हरे कृष्णा. So today is our last discussion. It's been a journey, Bhagavad Gita journey. Next week, I believe there is Festival of Colors, so we won't have discussion. Some devotees were requesting if we can move the program to Sunday evening. Does Sunday evening works better for most of you? Anyone has preference?
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay for us, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
For me, it's okay, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
What about other devotees? Do you have a preference or not much? Either one is okay.
Sorry, Prabhuji, I joined late. Can you tell again, like what are we discussing?
Probably not in your favor. But some devotees were texting me if we can move to Sunday evening. So I'm asking devotees, does devotees have preference for Sunday evening? Because we have our Sunday feast here, which usually gets done by around 8. If you move Sunday evening, then it's little tight for devotees here also, because then after Sunday there's cleanup and there are many things that happens here. So some devotees here are unable to join.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavad Pranams. Saturday evening is fine with me, Prabhuji.
And I think if one or two devotees cannot join, then probably we have recordings and devotees can hear. Okay, let us see. Yeah, next week there will be no discussion because of Festival of Colors. The week after that, we will begin with Nectar of Instruction. Again, the week after that is Janmashtami, so there will be no discussion, and then we resume. Bhagavad Gita assignment will be released tonight. Please return back the assignments in a week. An exam we will conduct, because it's Color Festival next Saturday. Next to next Saturday, we'll conduct the exam. That will be the last exam for Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is little more intensive in a way because it's very dense. Nectar of Instruction will be much more lighter because the whole course has just one assignment, one exam, which is much nicer, much easier from devotee's perspective. Regarding assignments and exam papers, we are currently checking assignment 3. And then because of India trip, there was a lot of disturbance for us also. Then we will jump to exam 2 and we will be sending the paper soon. Okay, so we'll begin now. Om Agyantimirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsham Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahavana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam साधुवैतम सावधूतम परिजना सहितम कृष्ण चैतन्य देवम श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितम हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंगायते गिरिं यत्कृपा तमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम्। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। Okay, so section.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, sorry, one quick question, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, you said assignment 3 we are checking. Assignment 2 we are checking, right? And exam?
Assignment 3, because Prabhuji, first 6 chapter has 2 assignments.
Okay. Oh, I thought like first chapter we got 1 assignment and then 6 to 12 we got another. And third one is going to release.
2 assignments, Prabhuji. First 6
Okay.
chapters. First 3 chapters, 1 assignment, because they were a little more dense. Now, 3, I mean, what we are checking is from chapter 7 to 12.
Oh, okay, Prabhuji. Okay, Prabhuji. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. All right. So, freedom from reaction by occupational work, purification through karma yoga. Chapter 18 is actually quite dense, but very, very nice chapter. How can we become free from our duties? I mean, we all have duties that we respond to. How can we ensure that we don't incur any reaction from our duties? So this is called purification through karma yoga. Then there is purification through jnana yoga. Then there is bhakti yoga, shuddha bhakti, and then towards the end of the chapter. So that's why it's called freedom from reaction by occupational work. Occupational work is our dharma, varnashram dharma. How to become free from reaction. Before that, we saw renunciation and tyag, and we saw that they both are same, because ultimately there is even no need to take sannyas, as long as we must renounce the activities that are centered around sense gratification. That sannyas or renunciation we must take. Other occupational duties, if we do for the pleasure of Krishna, then they are at the same level. We discussed example of Ramananda Roy Swarup Damodar Goswami from absolute platform. There is no difference, because ultimately we are trying to become Krishna conscious. And when we become pure, or when we become pure devotees, there is no difference on externals. And then we discuss about the 5 causes of an action. We saw that there is soul, there is super soul, there is endeavor, effort, senses, body. They are all involved for any action to take place. A person who thinks himself alone as a doer is not very intelligent. A person who sees that everything is under the guidance and sanction of the super soul sees things as they are. We discussed that section. Then we covered 3 factors that motivates action, and 3 factors that motivates, and 3 factors of action. And then we discuss all of them in 3 modes: worker in 3 modes, determination in 3 modes, action in 3 modes. Before that, we also saw renunciation in 3 modes. Then last week, we also saw happiness in 3 modes. And there were many different subject matters with examples we saw in 3 modes. So this is a summary up till chapter up till 40 verses. Now, all work is controlled by the modes because the whole Varnashram Dharma is based on modes. The concept of Varna, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra is all based on modes basically. So whatever duty is prescribed based on our Varna is basically the description of duty based on our prominent modes. And we also see that what can repression of mode accomplish if one tries to not act based on one's own modes, one will be forced to act. So that concept we will cover here. All work is controlled by the modes, yet one can become free from the reactions of work by acting as Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra in Nishkama Karma Yoga while worshipping the Lord via that work. Means the purpose of that work is to please Krishna and performing one's duty based on one's varnas without any motive or enjoyment for the pleasure of Krishna. And that will make us free. It doesn't matter whether we are prominently in mode of ignorance or in mode of passion, mode of goodness. We just need to direct our activities centered around Krishna. We all have our own characteristics, our own natures and behaviors. We must bring Krishna in that perspective. Krishna there. Sagar Maharaj says, do what you like to do it for Krishna. We should do what our strength is, which we will do based on our strength. Even if somebody forces us to do some activities that are not based on our modes, we will not be able to do it for long. Brahmanas, Krishna continues to explain, they have 9 qualities. Brahmanas means mode of goodness. They are by default peaceful. They are self-controlled. Their senses are very controlled actually, Brahmanas. Or in other words, it's much easier for them to control their senses because mode of passion means there is more factor of enjoyership through senses. So it becomes very difficult for people predominantly in mode of passion to do self-control. Then there is austerity. It's natural for Brahmanas to perform austerity. For Kshatriyas to do austerity is like an austerity in itself. Purity, because they see things as they are. They don't engage in activities of passion, ignorance. So they maintain a relatively very pure life. They have tolerance. There are 2 kinds of tolerance. One is tolerance on a physical level. One is tolerance on mind control level. For example, somebody uses some bad words. So a Brahmana can tolerate. But a Brahmana cannot tolerate the physical pain. A Kshatriya can tolerate physical pain. So this tolerance is at a mental level. Then there is honesty. Brahmana is honest. That's why Brahmana cannot do business, because Prabhupada says for business you have to lie. If a Brahmana does business, a Vaishya job, then he will tell the truth and he will not be successful. Then knowledge, because Brahmana is mode of goodness, so they study scriptures and then they gain knowledge and they share knowledge. Wisdom, wisdom refers to realization, knowledge refers to understanding. And religiousness, they always follow dharma because they have knowledge and they have sense control. What makes us break dharma is lack of self-control, or we are not austere, or we are not pure, or we are not tolerant, or we are not honest. So when these qualities lack naturally, we will not be able to follow religiousness. So these are the 9 qualities by which this helps us also. We can identify which category I lie in. Now, again, it's a prominent mode. although the modes are always mixed. Then there is Kshatriya, 7 qualities mentioned. Heroism. Heroism means they have a lot of strength. Heroism. Power. They want power. Authority. They want that. We hear also that Krishna also did not want Pandavas to act like Brahmanas. He condemns Arjuna to act like Brahmana, and he himself went as a peace messenger to beg from Duryodhan, or to, I don't want to use the word beg, but to like prastav leke jana, like to present a win-win situation in front of Duryodhan, or to give him some suggestion from that perspective, as a messenger basically. And Krishna was asking only 5 villages for Pandavas to rule. Krishna did not ask Pandavas that, live like Brahmanas now, that's okay. Krishna knows you are Kshatriya by nature, you must rule. So he's asking Duryodhan, let's make peace. Give them 5 villages because they're Kshatriyas by nature, they need power. Kshatriya without power is like, he just cannot live like that. It's based on modes. Another example of a Kshatriya can be happy only with power is Karna. He was left by Kunti Devi on a river, taken by a fisherman, but later on was given power to rule a district by Duryodhan. So he became very loyal to Duryodhan because he gave him the power, because he was by nature Kshatriya. He cannot live like a fisherman with little business here and there. He needs a lot of power. Kshatriyas they are very determined. Determined, like you see, determination can be in mode of passion. Determination can be in mode of goodness. We see like Hiranyakashipu, determination. Ravana's determination. I mean, they were born Kshatriyas, but by activities they were Vaishya and Shudras, basically, by activities. Ravana was born in Brahmanical family though. Okay, so they have determination, resourceful. Because they rule and they have power, they are resourceful. Then courage in battle, they can go ahead and fight. They don't have fear of death. Their generosity. Another quality of Kshatriya is very generous. They can give huge amount of charity, and they are okay with that. That Kshatriya leadership. They are born leaders. Those who are born leaders, everybody will see them as leaders. Like they will naturally emerge out as leaders. Prabhupada himself said that I was a natural leader among my friends. So this natural leader means people will, whatever they say, people will naturally follow them. This is like the qualities that they have. But then they may not have the qualities like religiousness, purity, tolerance, honesty, sense control, peacefulness. I mean, obviously, if you hit a Kshatriya, you have to be, you will be responsible for that, because they are like, there is no tolerance on that level. They will like, so these are, like every Varna has a prominent quality. And it is very important for one to be peaceful, to understand one's own Varna. And the reason Krishna is giving these Varnas, so we can understand where we lie. Krishna also discourages people to try to acquire somebody else's Varna, because that wouldn't work. That will be temporary, and one will be very happy working according to one's Varna, but one will be miserable following another's Varna. Mostly people are attracted to somebody else's Varna because of some material desires. Oh, I want to be Kshatriya so I can become a leader. I want to be a leader, so let me try that. No, I want to be a Brahmana, so I want to give knowledge. Or I want to be a Vaishya, so let me do business. So it won't work. Rather, Krishna encourages identify your Varna, serve Krishna according to your Varna. If you serve Krishna according to your Varna, you will go back to God. That's the whole theme, purification through Karma Yoga. And then there is Vaishya, 3 qualities mentioned: business, cow protection, farming. These are 2 different categories. One category, farmers. Another category, business people. They are both Vaishya. Shudras, labor and service to all the others. They will serve the Vaishya, they will serve Kshatriya, they will serve Brahmanas. Brahmanas don't give charity. Vaishyas don't give charity. Kshatriyas give charity. Vaishyas, they earn. Brahmana live on donations. And Shudras, they help everybody. So just everyone is forced to act according to ones. Everyone is under the 3 modes. Then Prabhupada also said, for the sake of Krishna consciousness, a devotee can do the activity of any of the 4 varnas to please Krishna. Like how it is, one way it is explained is, we must do what we are asked to do from our local temples, and then also we must do what we like to do. There should be a nice balance of both for a healthy life. Okay, one can become perfect by doing all the duties of his respective varna for the Lord's pleasure. Better to engage, Krishna says, better to engage in one's own occupation, even though imperfectly, than to accept another's occupation and perform it perfectly. Krishna says, better to do your duties imperfectly than doing somebody else's duty perfectly. And this is all relevant to Arjuna. Arjuna wanted to act like a Brahmana, doesn't want to fight, be forgiving. Forgiveness is also a Brahmanical quality. Being forgiving, pure-hearted. Krishna, I will remember you. I will use my life for self-realization. I'll go and beg. Begging is also the profession of a Brahmana. Non-violence. Krishna says, this is all, Arjuna. You want to do this because of your weakness of the heart, Krishna says. Okay, then duties prescribed according to one's own nature are never affected by sinful reaction. Every Prabhupada mentions, I think it's okay, yeah. There is fault in every varna. Like Prabhupada give example, Brahmana need to kill animals for sacrifice. Kshatriya need to be engaged in violence and killing and bloodshed. Vaishya, as they cannot do business. Prabhupada give an example, a Vaishya will say, sir, from you I'm not making any money. And I have no money, sir. So I'm giving you cost price. This is because I love you so much. So there is lying, Prabhupada says. Otherwise, a businessman cannot be successful. It's a fault. Kshatriya has a fault that sometimes innocents are killed. Brahmana has a fault, animals are killed. Shudra may have to serve bad master, and they may exploit Shudras. So Krishna says every endeavor is covered by some kind of fault. Krishna says every endeavor is covered by some fault, just as fire is covered by smoke. Smoke, nobody wants smoke. Fire is useful. With fire, you can burn, you can cook, you can run the factories. But with fire comes smoke. And smoke, we don't want it, but fire is not discouraged to not do its duty because the smoke will come. Fire will do its duty anyways. Likewise, even though there may be imperfections in one's own duty, there may be some sinful activities, apparently sinful activities, like example Prabhupada gave, in one's own duty. Even though your own duty is imperfect, still do your duty. By doing your duty, no sinful reaction you will incur. Just like we see animals, when they kill other animal, no sinful reaction. Tiger kills lion, no sinful reaction. He is acting according to his dharma. Likewise, when we act according to one's own dharma, there is no sinful reaction. So basically what Prabhupada is saying, you do business, you lie to the customers, you make profit from them, but then you do it for Lord's pleasure. Fault is there, do it for Lord's pleasure. Business Bhagwan ke liye karo. No reaction there. Sudra serving a bad master, no reaction. One example we hear, Rupa and Sanatana Goswamis, although born in Brahmana families, they considered themselves as low born because they were forced to work for a Malecha who would rob and steal. And they were working for that, Nawab Hussain Shah, that Muslim king, Malecha. Why? Because he threatened Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, if you guys don't work for me, then we will kill all the Brahmanas in your community. Out of compassion, out of love for the other Brahmanas, they themselves were willing to take the position of serving a bad master. They were very unhappy doing that. That's why they were writing letter to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that we are very fallen. Please deliver us. There is nobody who is more fallen than us, but you are the deliverer of the purifier. We are depending on your mercy, dear Lord. And the Lord freed them from those service to Malecha, and Lord engaged them in excavating Vrindavan and writing books on transcendental literature, which was working according to their own nature. But while they were serving the bad master, no sinful reaction. It's just everyone should work. Animal, Brahmana killing animals, no sinful reaction. Kshatriya violence, no sinful reaction. Arjuna kills in the battlefield, no sinful reaction. But if one does not do one's duty, there is a sinful reaction for neglecting one's own duty. Okay. So this was the summary of purification through Karma Yoga. Now we go to the Jnana section, confidential knowledge from reaction-free work through Jnana Yoga to Brahman platform and pure devotional service. Purification through Jnana Yoga. So basically now somebody who is acting according to one's own dharma, according to one's own varna, and doing the same activity for the pleasure of Krishna, you will be happily situated. By doing that service for Krishna, you will go back to Godhead. Prabhupada says to spread a mission, all the four varnas are required. Brahmana needs to read and share knowledge. Kshatriyas needs to be like strong, like crowd control, or like leadership, charitable. We need Kshatriyas. We need Vaishyas who will do business for Krishna. Like there is one brahmachari in Chowpatty temple. He makes sure he gets he was given the task of buying milk for Radha Gopinath Mandir, Chowpatty. So he did a lot of research and he saved huge money for the temple by finding the nearest farm or a good farm and get they need I think thousand liters on a regular basis because Sunday feels like 10,000 devotees. So make everything goes in thousands of liters there. Buying flowers. How much trucks of flowers? Huge. So there is one devotee who is in Govardhaniko village. They make cow products. Brahmachari who travels and promote the cow products and sells cow product, take order and make it successful so that the cows can be maintained. So there are different people will have different nature, and everything is an asset to temple. Everything. Shudras are also needed because they serve all the other varnas. And anyways, Prabhupada also said, we are born Shudras. In Kali Yuga, everyone is born Shudras. Yet, we will have a prominent nature also. All right. Then link from previous section. Worshipping the Lord through our work elevates us in knowledge. Krishna will now describe further steps up the yoga ladder. So how this, if one is like karma yoga leads to jnana yoga. That's why from reaction-free work means karma yoga, which is done for the pleasure of Krishna, it becomes a reaction-free work. From reaction-free work to jnana yoga. Now we are making a transition. So link from previous section again, worshipping the Lord through one work elevates us in knowledge. Krishna will now describe further steps up the yoga ladder. One who is self-controlled and completely unattached and who disregard all material enjoyment by renunciation can obtain highest perfectional stage of freedom from reaction. Now to gain freedom from reaction, one needs to be unattached. Because if we do our karma according to our varna, but for our pleasure, it will incriminate us. Only when we do something for Krishna's pleasure, then there is no karma. Otherwise, we are bound by good or bad karma. Everything comes back to us. So one who is self-controlled, if you take example of Arjuna, Arjuna was self-controlled and completely unattached. He didn't want kingdom. And who disregard all material enjoyment. He had no material motive behind the wall. By renunciation, he was anyways, he renounced material enjoyment, anything for himself, in the sake of fighting. That's why he didn't want to fight. So later on, he fought just in order to please Krishna. So that kind of work, it's almost impossible for many of us. That's why our devotion is always mixed for the most part. But then our hope is taking shelter of the holy name, taking shelter of devotees, taking shelter of service, taking shelter of deities to purify us. So this way one can obtain the highest perfect stage of freedom from the action. The next three verses, 51 to 53, refer to a yogi on the path of Jnana Yoga who has purified his consciousness through work and has thus already progressed upward from the stage of karma to the stage of jnana. So this is transition. Krishna is speaking, Krishna is gradually, that's why it's conclusion. First, karma yoga, bhai, what is your varna, what is your ashram? These are the activities of different varnas. You figure out for yourself, do your duty, do it for the pleasure of Krishna. Gradually, you will come to knowledge. Do it without material enjoyment. Become free from reaction, and this will gradually help us to go to the path of jnana. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says, it being the case that all work is covered with fault, the person on the first level of sannyas rejects the faulty aspects of work, namely the mentality of being the doer and the expectation of profit. This is first level of sannyas in work. So sannyas in karma, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says, is doing the duty without attachment to results, without the desire to be the enjoyer of one's result. We have to do. based on our duty, but then do it keeping Krishna in the center. Use your nature to benefit Krishna. Use your nature to serve Krishna. We all have our places in service to Krishna. Like Sagar Maharaj says, be yourself. Don't try to be somebody else. Then you will be happy. Be happy being yourself. So what is the first level of sannyas? Reject the mentality of being the doer and the expectation of profit. Mentality of being doer, see what I have done. No, whatever skills I have, I'm using Krishna's service, using Krishna given intelligence, Krishna given strength. Because we also hear service is a privilege. Getting an opportunity to render service is great. It is based on our desire, but how successful the service is based on Krishna's mercy. So giving up, taking sannyas from the mentality of being the doer and the expectation of profit. What I'm going to get? No. What I'm going to get is service. What I want is the opportunity to render service. And we can see how much we are free from the mentality of doer and mentality of profit. What do we feel when our service is unsuccessful? Do we become depressed? Or do we maintain our consciousness that, my Lord, I am doing it for your pleasure. I am trying to glorify you with my broken words or with my broken acts. And it doesn't matter whether it turns out to be a failure or success, because that's not up to me. Prabhupada, when he came, Prabhupada says, Krishna, why have you brought me here to this hellish world? You must have some purpose. Now, nachao, re mate. Wow, my Lord, make me dance as you like. It's up to you whether you make me a failure or you make me a success. But since you have brought me here, you must have some purpose why you have brought me here. Everything is acting based on Krishna's plan. Krishna will direct our life in such a way. Either he will open some opportunities of service, close some opportunities of service. Krishna's plan only. Everything is acting according to Krishna's plan. Even the desire for service or desire for a particular service also given by Krishna. Everything is acting according to Krishna's plan. So sannyas, first level of sannyas is named giving up the mentality of being the doer and the expectation of profit. What does a devotee want in response to his services? He wants more service. The characteristic of a pure devotee is described by Lord Shiva to Parvati. He says a devotee is not even interested in 5 kinds of liberation. Going to the planet of the Lord, not interested. Having the same opulence as the Lord, definitely not interested. Having the same bodily features as the Lord, not interested. What is a devotee interested? He is happy in the act of serving the Lord. My Lord, I want to serve you birth after birth. In as you desire. As you want, I will serve you accordingly. Krishna says, please ask me something. Yes, my Lord. Please always keep me engaged in your service. Let me always remember you. Yesterday we were singing a song by Narottam Das Thakur. Something like Kripaya Eshwama Hridaya Mandire. This is something we ask from Krishna. Krishna, कुछ ऐसा कृपा करो. Show such a mercy that I can make a temple for you in my heart. Bestow that mercy. Ratan Das Thakur says, in the heart of a devotee, Govinda always rests. Govinda Vishrama. Vaishnava Hriday, inside Vaishnava Hriday, Govinda is always resting. Krishna told Lala Babu that you have built a very nice big temple for me in Vrindavan. Now make a temple for me in your heart. Temple in the heart means temple is where Krishna is served. So temple in the heart means when Krishna is served internally. A devotee is happy with the act of serving internally and serving externally. The act of service. Doesn't want to be the enjoyer of service. He just want to be absorbed in the act of serving the Lord, externally, internally. So Chakravarti Thakur says, first level of sannyas is given the mentality of being the doer. To Arjuna also, you are not the killer. They are already killed by me. It's not by your strength that you can kill them, by your skills you can kill them. Depending on anything other than Krishna being the doer is a doership mentality which emanates from false ego. Ahankara vimudatmakartam iti manyate. Out of false ego, only one thinks himself to be the doer of one's activities. You know what I did? This is what I did. Really? You read it, bro. Thus, in due course of time, he perfects his sadhana. This is Vishwan Chakravarti Thakur says sadhana of a karma yogi. Give up the mentality, give up the expectation of profit, mentality of doer. Thus, in due course of time, he perfects his sadhana. After having ascended to the level of yoga, he gives up work itself. Then the second level of sannyasis, he is not interested in that work also. In the first level, first attached. Then gradually, by the act of doing something for the sake of Krishna, renunciation from those activities will come. When we start doing things for the pleasure of Krishna, when we start using everything for the pleasure of Krishna, slowly the grip of attachment will weaken. And when one is completely free from that grip of attachment and one comes to the platform of I am doing something for the pleasure of Krishna, then even those activities can be given up. So Chakravarti Thakur says, after having ascended to the level of yoga, he gives the work itself. This is the second stage of sannyas, as described in this verse, beginning with Ashakta Buddhi Sarvatra. Okay. This presentation you all will have, you can refer back to it. One achieves supreme perfection, Brahma Buddha platform, and peacefulness by, this is again Brahma Buddha Prasannatma Na Sochati Na Kankshati. Samaham Sarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param, controlling the mind with determination. One achieves supreme perfection, Brahma Buddha platform, Jnana perfection. Basically, Jnani yogis, the goal is Brahman realization for Jnani yogis. So they control the mind with determination, means not trying to fulfill the desires of the mind with determination, keeping it focused. Purified by intelligence, impure intelligence will be driven towards material desires, material activities, and purified intelligence will no more disturb a devotee. Today, Yuga Kishore Prabhuji was mentioning in Srimad Bhagavatam class, by meditating on the lotus feet of Krishna, intelligence becomes purified, and once intelligence is purified, then one is no more interested in sinful activities. Otherwise, one is very eager and takes a lot of effort to not engage in sinful activities. That's because of past karma, that our such inclinations are there and the intelligence is impure. But by the process of devotional service, one becomes purified by intelligence. Again, impure intelligence wants to be the enjoyer of one's activities. Purified intelligence won't have that. Then giving up sense objects, even like why people are attached to sense objects, because from my work, from my duty, I want to enjoy the sense object. There is a desire to be the enjoyer of the result of my activity. So karma yoga is not perfected yet. And when it is done, keeping Krishna in the center, 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 it's a sadhana for karma yoga. Krishna in the center. Whatever pleases Krishna, whatever pleases Krishna. Don't try to be the enjoyer of the profits for the pleasure of Krishna. That's a sadhana. Slowly, slowly it will come. Then one is no more interested in sense objects. Then freedom from attachment and hatred. Attachment to attachment is directly proportional to hatred also. Like, there are two sides of the same coin. When we are attached, we hate something also. Living in a secluded place, this is for Jnani yogis. This is like how Krishna is explaining. Gradually, karma yoga will lead to renunciation, Jnani yoga, and Brahmabhuta platform. Like if you see Jnani yogis, they go to the forest. Karma yogis. Most of the people, although they say Bhagavad Gita says karma yoga, very, very hard to practice karma yoga. I don't know other than devotees, even among devotees, it's not so common. But especially apart from devotees, it's almost impossible somebody is working without any attachments. Obviously, one is working to be the enjoyer. That is the root cause, that root disease for our being here. So living in a secluded place, freedom from attachment, hatred, giving a sense object purified by intelligence. See, what is the motivation of work is the result. Mostly. There's keep bringing Krishna in the center purifies. Krishna center purifies. Purification is not so easy. Purification is painful. But then Krishna is giving. Why? Because Krishna wants us to leave this place and come to me in Vrindavan. But the thing is, we don't want to leave. We just want to be happy in this world, peaceful in this world, and enjoy this world. We want to peacefully enjoy this material world. We want the glittering nature of this material world without the suffering of this material world. So people sometimes try to take shelter of bhakti yoga or spiritual life to avoid the suffering and enjoy the glitters of this world. They cannot go back to God. And they cannot be peaceful also. भगवान बोलते हैं कि यहाँ आने के लिए आपको ये जगह छोड़नी पड़ेगी. You have to leave this place to come to me. When we are in Goloka Vrindavan, we will do everything for Krishna only. When we are there, everything 100% for Krishna only. When we are here now, become bound. So we hold on to Krishna, then we can take off from this material world. You hold on to Krishna more, you take off from this material world. Not easy actually. But Prabhupada also says this gradual purification. Gradually, success is guaranteed. It doesn't matter. Krishna says whether one is born as a Shudra, Malecha, and various other categories. Krishna says, having taken shelter of me, one quickly becomes purified. All right. So once we take off and we do everything for the pleasure of Krishna, now there is no motivation for work. When you have no desire to enjoy, there is no motivation. For what? Then if Guru wants me to do, I will do it. Why? Because Guru wants me to do it. If motivation becomes Guru's pleasure, it's pure bhakti actually. So it's gradually. But naturally, Prabhupada says, there is no need to go this way. But Krishna is explaining in 18th chapter how progression happens from karma to karma yoga to purification through karma yoga to jnana yoga and then to bhakti yoga. We will see jnana will naturally translate to bhakti. Why? Now, jnana yoga, the object is not so clear for whom I am doing it. But bhakti yoga, now the goal is very, very clear. So living in a secluded place, these are the qualities of Jnana Yogi. Prabhupada said they are in denounced order. They live in, this is not practical. Prabhupada also says in this day and age. Yet for the sake of completeness, we are describing these aspects. Eats little, controls his body, mind, and power of speech. Mind is controlled, body is controlled. Power of speech is controlled. Very, very important these things to be controlled for Bhakti Yogi also. Eats a little, all glories. Freedom from all bad qualities, born of material conception, false ego, false strength, false pride. Freedom from no false ego, no false strength, no false pride. Freedom from all bad qualities. Lust, anger, and acceptance of, basically freedom from lust, freedom from anger, freedom from acceptance of material things, freedom from false proprietorship. Fully focused, renowned, secluded place. Eat little, body, mind, speech controlled. Freedom from attachment and hatredness. No attachment to sense object. Intelligence is purified. Mind is controlled, and with determination, one is moving in that direction. These are Jnana Yogis, the activities of Jnana Yogis, the sadhana of Jnana Yogis, the life of Jnana Yogis. Then they attain Brahma Bhuta platform. Brahma Bhuta platform means na sochati na kamshati, no lamentation, no anxiety. Then always in trance and detached. Thus one achieves supreme peace. In trance for them, effulgence of the Lord, detached from this material world. Jnana Yoga is very detached actually. And then Krishna says, so Brahma Bhuta stage, 3 criteria, fully joyful. Who is joyful? Who is not materially attached? Who is miserable? Who is attached? Because those who are attached, they will suffer. For sure. Those who are attached, they will suffer. So fully joyful, never laments or desires, equally disposed towards every living entity. They see every living entity from a spiritual platform. May not be from pure devotional platform, but on a spiritual platform. Equally disposed towards all living entity. No friends, no enemies. Because friends, enemies, Prahlad Maharaj says is based on sense gratification also. So no friends, no enemies. A state, that's all. This stage is also a great stage, although we condemn it as Gyanis are too, but it's a great realizations. No laments, no lamentations, no desires. No desire, desire is already purified at Karma Yoga platform. No? Doing it for the pleasure of Krishna, pleasure of Krishna, pleasure of Krishna brings detachment to those activities slowly, slowly. Now nothing remains. That purification is done. First level of purification, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says, is over. To be the doer and to be the enjoyer. Now, second level of activities, giving up activities itself and taking to the path of Jnanis. Second level of sannyas, fully joyful. Then attains pure devotional service unto me. Now, there's a transition from Jnana Yoga to Bhakti Yoga. Prabhupada also says Bhakti Yoga begins after liberation, which basically means this verse. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na sochati na kashati samaham sarveshu bhuteshu samaham sarva bhuteshu, seeing all living entities equal platform. Mad bhaktim labhate param. Param means not transcendentally pure devotional service to me. They will attain. Then attains pure devotional service to me. Impersonalist Brahma Bhuta means becoming one with the absolute. Personalist Brahma Bhuta means engage in pure devotional service. For us, Brahma Bhuta platform means now we are coming to Shuddha Bhakti platform. Brahma Bhuta stage means the stage of Brahma Bhuta means no desires, no lamentations, no attachments, no hatred, no. Then it's pure. So engage in pure devotional service, also Brahma Bhuta platform. And Jnanis, again, they also have no to all these things. They also, although their goal is not the highest, Sayujya Mukti, impersonalist, but they also have no misery. That's why Prabhupada says Brahman perfect, Paramatma more perfect, Bhagavan most perfect. We don't condemn Brahman realization. But then it is said Bhakti Rasa is like Brahman Rasa is like a drop in front of Bhakti Rasa is like an ocean of happiness. It's much more deeper and divine, and keep adding, and that's Bhakti Rasa. Pure devotional service include Brahma Bhuta stage, joyful, no lamentation. Equally, if one is a pure devotee, so Prabhupada says there is no need to go through this path of Jnani Yogi. A pure devotee does not lament, does not desire. He is equally disposed. He sees Krishna in the heart of all living entity. He is fully joyful. He is always Govinda stays in his heart. He is always serving Krishna within his heart. He is completely free from material desires. Anya Abhilashitam Shunyam. He is completely focused on serving Krishna. So Brahma Bhuta stage, Bhakti, Shuddha Bhakti includes Brahma Bhuta stage. So Prabhupada presented all the verses based on pure devotional service, that there is no need of this route, but for the sake of clarity we still went through it. Krishna proclaims pure bhakti yoga is the only way to understand Krishna and enter his abode. Krishna says, after saying Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma, after that verse Krishna says Bhakti Amam Abhijanati. Krishna says then they will come to the stage of Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param. Then Krishna says, Bhakti Amamabi. Only by bhakti can I be understood. You can attain Brahman realization, Baba. You can attain purification from karma, the first level of sannyas. You can do all these things, but you cannot approach me. I can be approached only by bhakti. Same thing Krishna says in the 9th chapter also. Only by bhakti can I be approached. Then refutation to Mayavad, becoming Brahman does not mean losing identity. Brahman realization, Prabhupada gave an example of two, parrots in the tree. They still maintain their individuality. But then the misconception or misinterpretation goes off Brahma Bhuta stage, goes into the Mayavad, which is not correct. Becoming Brahman does not mean losing identity. How one's devotional service began after achieving Brahma Bhuta stage? By hearing about the Lord, effect of hearing, Brahma Bhuta stage develops, material contamination reduces, one can understand the Supreme Lord. This is something from the purport Prabhupada says. Even if someone is Brahman realized, Prabhupada says, even if someone is Jnani, is Brahman realized, by hearing about the glories of the Lord, they will understand Krishna. Example of Brahma Bhuta stage mentioned is Sukadev Goswami, no material desires, not influenced by material nature. 4 Kumaras, no material desires, not influenced by 3 modes. But they both, by hearing about Krishna or like Sukadev, heard Srimad Bhagavatam, attained Shuddha Bhakti. So from that perspective, Prabhupada says, how one's devotional service begins after achieving Brahmabhuta stage by hearing about the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam says, Atma Rama Chamunayo, Bhagavatam or the glories of Krishna are transcendental, and the proof is that even liberated souls are attracted to it. Materialistic people are, those who are liberated soul are not attached to materialistic sense gratification things. Krishna's activities are not based on sense gratification. If they were, fully purified, liberated souls would not be interested in them. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not be interested in those activities. They're completely transcendental. And that's why they attract the heart even of liberated souls. And from there, whatever one can understand Krishna. And hearing removes the material contamination naturally. So now that was the stage of progression from Karma Yoga. What is Karma Yoga? Based on Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Do your duty, keep it centered around pleasing Krishna. Give results to Krishna, 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 Krishna. It will be painful. It will purify, 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 purify. When no more material desire, no more material aspect remains, one loses the taste in those activities itself. Then one naturally start focusing on Brahman realization. It's like progression from karma to jnana. Hatred, seeing all living entities on equal level. We saw freedom from sense gratification. Mind is purified, intelligence purified. Doing their sadhana. And finally, they attain to Bhakti Yoga by hearing about Krishna. Prabhupada told us from the beginning only, even if we are completely attached, Prabhupada says the beginning of Krishna consciousness, Shravana, hear about him. By hearing about him, we'll be attracted to him. Our path is not what we just discussed. Our path is, Prabhupada says, lift, direct Bhakti Yoga. That's why this section of the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita, there is confidential, more confidential, most confidential. Most confidential is Sarva Dharma Parityaja Mam Ekam Sharanam. Beginning here, for the next 11 verses, Krishna will speak directly about Bhakti because he already covered Karma and Jnana, now Shuddha Bhakti. Krishna says, I personally protect my devotee. Now this is pure devotional service. Krishna says, I personally protect my devotee from all reactions and lead him directly to my supreme abode. Aham Tom Sarva Papebhyo. If you do something for the pleasure of Krishna, reactions will go away. Example, you cook, there is a reaction. Because violence is there in cooking, you offer to Krishna. Because it is offered to Krishna, free from all reaction. Krishna says, if you do something for my pleasure, because there is fault in every activity. So there is fault, definitely. So reactions are there. Every activity is, Krishna says, there is no activity which does not have faults in it. But I will protect my devotees and directly lead them to Krishna, to me, to my supreme abode, if they do it for my pleasure. Basically, keeping Krishna in the center, doing for Krishna's pleasure, that's how you live reaction free. I personally protect my devotee from all reactions and lead him directly to my supreme abode. How protection comes up? This is very nice. A pure devotee acts under the direction of Supreme Lord or his representative. Then the devotee is protected. Krishna says, kill, no reaction for Arjuna. Act under direction of Supreme Lord or his representative, then you will be protected. One time ago, Vishnu Prabhu says, even if the devotee says to do something and if somebody does it, and if it is actually not the right thing to do, then those who gave instruction will be incriminated, but those who are simply following, no reaction for them. So if we act under the direction of Supreme Lord or his representative, one will be protected by the Supreme Lord. Thus perform your duty in full dependence on my protection. Fight depending on me. Perform your duties in full dependence on my protection. Arjuna says, no, I cannot fight. Why? I cannot fight Baba. I cannot fight Krishna because sinful reactions I will incur. Krishna says, perform your duty in full dependence on my protection. Depend on my protection. Don't neglect your duty. Then, I will leave you also and you will be incurring sin for neglecting your duty. Do your duty in full dependence on my protection. Krishna, I am doing this because you want me to do it. Krishna, I am doing this. Krishna, please help me in my services. Misuse of concept of devotional service, doing something whimsical and offering the results to Krishna. Prabhupada says that's not bhakti. Doing something whimsical and offering results to Krishna. Jadguru Prabhu said once, bhakti is always under guidance. Anything not under guidance, in the name of bhakti, sometimes it becomes offensive also. You are trying to do something for the pleasure of Krishna, but if it is not under guidance, it becomes whimsical. So Prabhupada says, doing something whimsical and offering results to Krishna, it's a misuse of the concept of devotional service. So Prabhupada says, sometimes we think, no, this is really good. This is really what is pleasing to Krishna. And then we end up through those activities, we end up in displeasing devotees. And if we just end up in displeasing devotees, how can it give pleasure to Krishna? Naturally, it is going to affect us. Otherwise, that's a misuse of the concept of devotional service. Act only according to the order of Krishna, which comes to disciplic succession. If you act in this way, you will pass all obstacles. Otherwise, if you act out of false ego, you will be lost. Out of false ego is more like one aspect is whimsical. One aspect is ourselves being the doer or being the enjoyer, and anything which is not done for the pleasure of Guru, Krishna, and devotees, it's done out of false ego. That will bind us to this material world. Refusal to fight was under false ego, because false ego means Arjuna was thinking, I am Arjuna. The concept that Bhishma Dev is my grandfather, that concept is arising from false ego. Because for Bhishma Dev to be my grandfather, I am this body has to be there. How can I kill my grandfather who is worshipable? False ego is there. The base itself is that. So Arjuna's refusal. So Krishna is very clearly telling Arjuna, if you act out of false ego, you will be lost. But you will be able to cross over all obstacles if you act according to the order of Supreme Lord and his representative. For Arjuna, directly act according to order of my. Do what I say. But if you do what you like to do, you will be lost. But if you do what I want you to do, I will offer you protection from killing. This is actually Shuddha Bhakti. Krishna is describing pure devotional service. There is no going away to the forest in a secluded place, none of these things. It's directly done to please Guru and Krishna. Bhakti Yoga, Prabhupada says, direct path. All the detachment will come through that. But we covered the other aspects anyways. Your duty is to fight, and even if you try to abandon, the modes will force you to do it. Again, Krishna says, Krishna is very clear now. He said, even if you try to abandon, you will fight somewhere else. That's very important. Don't try to renounce your nature. Use your nature to serve Krishna. You will be very successful. You will render appreciable services. If you try to do somebody else's services, you will not be successful. You will end up in displeasing devotees also. and you just won't be able to do it. But you will go through a lot of anxiety. Stay in your constitutional position. Serve according to your constitutional position. You will be very happy in that service to Krishna. And you will please devotees through that service. You will please Krishna through that service. You will become purified. You will go back to God. Then now more confidential knowledge rendered to Super Soul. Supreme Lord is the master and puppeteer. So we are almost coming relatively towards the end. Supreme Lord is the master and the puppeteer. He is situated in everyone's heart, directing the wanderings of a living entity who are seated on a machine. This is where today, I think, evening we were discussing this body is compared to a machine. Yantra Rani Maya. The living entity are seated in a machine, and the super soul is directing the wanderings of a living entity. What does super soul do? He is sitting with you. What do you want? This is what I want. So super soul will make arrangements for you to fulfill your desire. So super soul is making you wander just to fulfill your desire. So directing the wanderings of the living entity. He's directing. What do you want? What do you want? Like this, based on karma. He's situated in everyone's heart, so he's a puppeteer. What does the master puppeteer does? They make the puppet dance. So likewise, the super soul is and directing the wanderings of the living entity, who is seated on a machine. Then therefore surrender unto him utterly. By his grace, you will attain transcendental peace, and the supreme and eternal abode. Krishna gives choice to Arjuna, deliberate on this fully and do what you wish to do. So Krishna is basically here. He is telling more confidential knowledge, which is surrender to the super soul. And then he describes how super soul is directing the wanderings of living entity. So he is the master and he's a puppeteer. He is making the person dance. Puppet is acting according to how puppeteer makes him dance. Likewise, the super soul is directing, like we say, man proposes, God disposes. It's provided by the super soul only. Then Krishna says, Yatha Chashi Tatha Kuru. He says, then Krishna says, surrender to him. Surrender to him means surrender to me. Or basically, do what I want you to do. This is surrender to super soul. Then Krishna also says, Yatha Chashi Tatha Kuru. Deliberate on this fully and do, and what you wish to do, you do. Indicate that God does not interfere with the little independence of the jiva. Krishna gives guidance to Bhagavad Gita. Krishna does not force us. Then comes the most important section, the most confidential knowledge. Because you are my very dear friend, I am speaking to you my supreme instruction, the most confidential knowledge of all. Hear this from me, for it is for your benefit. Everything stops here. Krishna tells Arjuna, now Arjuna, be careful. Now Arjuna, be attentive. Now Arjuna, I am telling you the most confidential thing. Also, most confidential things are not spoken in public. So Krishna says, because you are my very dear friend. Krishna does not say, since you are my friend, I will tell you most confidential knowledge. No, you just to a friend, you don't tell most confidential things. You say like, since you are most dear to me, I am going to reveal this to you. Please listen it. Please hear it very carefully. So here, like Arjuna, everything stops. Arjuna mind of thinking of various things stops. Krishna is now going to say something which is the essence of everything that Krishna has spoken. So he's telling, because you're my very dear friend, आप बहुत करीब हो मेरे, इसलिए ये सुनो. I am speaking to you. I know something Krishna is going to say about surrender. Krishna will not tell an atheist, now surrender to me. Never. Krishna is, later on we see today only, this instruction is on the Bhagavad Gita is actually only meant for devotees. So because you are my very dear friend, I am speaking to you my supreme instruction, the most confidential knowledge of all. Hear this from me, for it is for your benefit. Arjuna may ask, why are you telling me? Krishna said, for your benefit. Why should I surrender to you? Beta, it is for your benefit. Your constitutional position is to remember me always and serve me always. You will be very satisfied by doing that. It's natural for us. But material world is like fish out of water and always in anxiety on it. Then Krishna says, always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, offer obeisances unto me, and thus you will come to me. He said, most confidential knowledge, Arjuna, become my devotee. Bhagavad Gita was not spoken to Arjuna to make him fight. Bhagavad Gita was spoken to Arjuna to tell Arjuna, Arjuna, become my devotee. Arjuna, worship me. That is why Bhagavad Gita was spoken. This was circumstantial that Arjuna has to fight. See, before that, Krishna is telling Arjuna, you fight and work under my protection. Very good. That is bhakti because you are sending to Super Soul who is guiding you within your heart. You are not in any sinful reaction. You are guiding, you are working under guidance. But here Krishna is telling, that's all right. You should do that anyways. It's part of Bhakti Yoga. But the most confidential aspect among Bhakti Yoga is you always think of me. Man mana bharman bhakto. Madhyaji mam namaskuru. Always think of me. Most confidential knowledge. Always think of me. Hridaya mandire. Kripa karo aisho amar hridaya mandire. Such a kripa you show me that my Mandir is where Lord resides. How beautiful it will be if the Lord resides in our heart. Krishna says, always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, offer obeisances unto me, come to me. Most confidential by मेरे पास आओ. I'm waiting. ऊपर मैं इंतजार कर रहा हूँ. आ जाओ बेटा. If one simply thinks of Krishna at all times, what will happen to his duties? So this question this is from the commentaries of Vishwa Chakravarti Thakur and others. If one simply thinks of Krishna at all time, काम कैसे करेंगे? घर गृहस्थी कैसे चलाएंगे भाई? केवल कृष्ण को याद करेंगे तो. If one simply thinks of Krishna at all times, what will happen to his duty? So Krishna says, give up all those duties. Dharma means everything. Varnashram dharma. Give up those duties and all varieties of religion. Our only duty is to exclusively surrender onto him. Thus material reaction will not touch you. Do not hesitate, do not fear. हम लोग hesitate करेंगे. कह रहे ऐसे कैसे I can give up my dharma? Wow. We will hesitate. Krishna says, do not hesitate. Ma suchaha. Do not hesitate, do not fear. You do it, I'll take care. Proof of surrender. Hari Bhakti Vilas 6 points. Simply accept such religious principles that are favorable to Bhakti. Avoid anything unfavorable to Bhakti. Confidence of Krishna's protection under all circumstances. Krishna will protect me. Like Ajamil, don't depend on. Ajamil was depending for his protection on his son. Beta kya madad karega? So confidence of Krishna's protection. Krishna will protect me. No need of thinking how to keep body and soul together. Krishna will see to that. Krishna will maintain. Krishna will maintain. Krishna will protect. Always think oneself helpless. It's one of the aspects of surrender. This is called humility. Humility means I'm not depending on my own strength, but I'm depending on Krishna. So always think oneself helpless and consider Krishna as the only basis of one's progress in life. So when we have these things, this is a proof of surrender. Okay. One may be perplexed as to how one can give up all kind of religious forms and simply surrender onto Krishna. But such worry is useless. Why? Krishna just takes care. Krishna says, do not fear. We fear. Krishna says, do not hesitate. But we hesitate. We hesitate to surrender. This is one commentary. There are many commentaries. Ramanujacharya says to his disciple Dasharathi, he says, you cannot understand what surrender is. Same thing. It's a very advanced verse. Same thing he also says. Our beloved Vasana Maharaj says. Yugal Kishore Prabhu was mentioning. Vasana Maharaj says, we say surrender, but we don't understand what is surrender. And he says, over time, we will understand what surrender means. All right, now something light. Do not teach Bhagavad Gita to one who is not austere. Those who are sensuous, don't teach to them, not devoted, even if they are austere, but they are not devoted to Krishna. Some people are austere, but they are not devoted. Don't teach to them. Or some people are envious of Krishna. You say Krishna. Bhakti Tirth Maharaj says, when I say Krishna, if I see spark in their eyes, I glorify Krishna. If I feel hesitation, I just leave. I don't waste my time there. So do not teach Bhagavad Gita to one. Basically teach to those who are not envious, who are devotees, and who are self-controlled. One who teaches to Krishna's devotees get pure devotional service and returns to Krishna. No one is more dear servant to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear than he who gives devotional service or teaches Bhagavad Gita to devotees. Prabhupada says if Bhagavad Gita is meant for devotees, then how can we speak Bhagavad Gita in public? When we are meant to teach Bhagavad Gita to devotees only. Krishna says, do not teach Bhagavad Gita to one who is not devoted to Krishna's service. But the answer is, how do you know who is a devotee or not? Somebody may be much more advanced than you, but sitting in an audience, continuing from previous life. Even if they are not much more advanced than you, they may have begun devotional service. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, who is a Vaishnava? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, one who hears the name of Krishna once is a Vaishnava. So we have to, but definitely we should not teach Bhagavad Gita to the faithless. It's like the poison, like feeding milk to the snake, the poison will increase. That we should not do. Then one who studies this sacred conversation of mine, worship me by his intelligence. Krishna says, anyone who studies Bhagavad Gita, they will definitely surrender to Krishna if they really hear it properly. If one hears with faith and without envy, he will become free from sinful reaction. He attains to the auspicious planets where the pious dwells. Okay. Another benediction Krishna gives. Hear with faith and without envy. Without envy means, Krishna is saying, but I don't believe it. Now envy comes. With faith. That's why with faith and envy, without envy go simultaneously hand in hand. No envy, faith is there. Then what to do with the knowledge given in Bhagavad Gita? Distribute it. Then pure devotional service is guaranteed. One will go to Krishna. Study it. Then the intelligence with the one. If you study with your intelligence, you will worship Krishna. If you distribute it, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and you will go to Krishna. Hear it with faith and without envy, you will become free from sinful reaction. Attain the auspicious planets. Arjuna is firmly fixed. Krishna asks if Bhagavad Gita has freed Arjuna from ignorance and illusion. Are you free now? Is your illusion now gone, Arjuna? After hearing this sacred conversation of ours. As a spiritual master, it was his duty to know if Arjuna understood Bhagavad Gita. It is a duty of spiritual master to know that if the disciple is getting the essence, if he's understanding. So he's asking Arjuna, how are you feeling now? Are you free from doubts? Has your illusion now gone? Are you ready to act on my instruction? Expected result of hearing, Prabhupada says ignorance and illusion will be dispelled. We'll have clarity of what to do in life. Arjuna's realization, Arjuna says, my illusion is now gone. What is illusion? Bound by lust and desire. And what was lust for Arjuna? Attachment to his grandfather. What was his desire? His personal desire was to not act in this ghastly affair. Go and become a Brahmana, renounce. So that is referred to as illusion. Arjuna says, my illusion is now gone. Illusion gone means whatever I was thinking as better than what Krishna wants me to do is because of illusion only. He is trying to tell Krishna what is the right thing to do. That is illusion. Krishna is telling this is what the right thing to do. And Arjuna has a lot of doubts. Krishna, how do I understand this? How do I understand this? These are all aspects of illusion of Arjuna. So after hearing the sacred conversation, illusion is now gone, means Arjuna is very clear. He can see things from Krishna's perspective. So this is the Arjuna's realization. Regained my memory by your mercy. Regain my memory means regain my intelligence or purified intelligence. I can see things as they are. I can see things as you wanted. I can see things from your perspective. Then I am now firm and free from doubt. Now I won't go behind because I have the clarity. So I am firm. Arjuna understood him not only as a friend, but also a supreme personality of Godhead. Free from doubt, he understand who is Krishna and I must serve for the pleasure of Krishna. Arjuna understood Krishna's plan to reduce the unnecessary population. He could understand what Krishna wanted and who Krishna is and what I should be doing and why I didn't want to do what Krishna wanted me to do. All these things are gone. Prepared to act according to your instructions. This is called voluntary surrender. Krishna says, Yatha Chishi Tatha Kuru. Arjuna says, Karishya Vachanam Tava. Yatha Chishi Tatha Kuru. जो इच्छा करो. मेरा काम था बताना, मैंने अपना काम किया, जो इच्छा करो. Whatever you wish, you do. Arjuna says, Karishya Vachanam Tava. Whatever you speak, Vachanam, Vacha, Vachanam Tava, your words, Karishya, I will put into action. I am your man. I am your surrendered soul. You speak, it's done. This is surrender process. Karishya Vachanam Tava. In the last section, Sanjaya relates his experience of the whole conversation. Sanjaya tells to Dhritarashtra, the hairs are standing on my end. After hearing this beautiful conversation between Krishna and Arjuna, Sanjaya says, my hairs have stood on my end. What was so wonderful about the message of Sanjaya? Hairs was standing on end. Supreme Personality of Godhead was speaking about himself and his energies to Krishna, to Arjuna. Krishna is showing his universal form, telling who he is. And his different energies, hearing that wonderful understanding of Krishna and his divinity, and the whole conversation. Very, very wonderful. Sanjay acknowledges the mercy of Vyasa, by whose mercy he could hear the master of mysticism, Krishna. Even when one gets direct reciprocation from Krishna, one should always recognize whatever I am is because of the mercy of my spiritual master, who I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. Therefore, I first of all offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Spiritual masters are transparent via medium, and experience is still direct. So it's like Prabhupada says, by mercy of Vyasadeva only Sanjaya could see, but Sanjaya's experience of Krishna was direct. He was literally seeing Krishna. Likewise, Guru is a via medium. He will show us the path to Krishna, remove our illusion that keeps us attached to this material existence. He inspires us to become more selfless in our service. But as we become more and more purified, the experience of Krishna is direct. Then without disciplic succession, one cannot hear Krishna, and his knowledge is always imperfect. If you don't hear from a bona fide sources, like if somebody hears Bhagavad Gita by himself, all garbage will go inside actually. The conception, understanding, conclusion, everything is just like trash. So without disciplic succession, one cannot hear Krishna, and his knowledge is always imperfect. Spiritual master is representative of Vyasadeva. That's why we have Vyas Asan, means he's speaking the words of Vyasadeva, Vyasa Puja, or glorification of spiritual master, because spiritual master is representative of Vyasadeva. So Sanjay acknowledges the mercy of Vyasa, which basically means a disciple acknowledges the mercy of Shri Guru. Further experience of Sanjay, remembering the wonderful form of Krishna, he becomes stuck with wonder more and more and rejoices again and again. Experience of Krishna is direct. Now he is remembering the form of Krishna. And the joy, bliss, ecstasy is increasing more and more. Bhagavad Gita begins with Dhritarashtra asking about the battlefield. So Sanjay answers that Krishna and Arjuna cannot be defeated, and you have no hope for victory. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of mystics, there's the last verse, and Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. What was predicted about Maharaj Yudhishthira's life? Because wherever there is Krishna and Arjuna, wherever Bhagavad Gita is read, sung, discussed, applied, heard, wherever there is Krishna and Arjuna, there will be morality. Somebody hears Bhagavad Gita, moral, extraordinary power, victory. Victory, why? Because if you act morally and if you are acting righteously, you will always be victorious. Opulence. So this was predicted on the side of Yudhishthira. What was predicted? His victory was certain. Why? Because Krishna and Arjuna is there. This is Sanjay telling, before the beginning of war, wherever there's Krishna and Arjuna, victory is certain. Means Yudhishthira Maharaj will emerge victorious. Opulence is certain, means they won't become beggars. They will become the kings. Extraordinary power is certain, means he will rule the whole world. Yudhishthira Maharaj. Morality is certain, means he will be righteous. He will follow Dharma. So after victory, his kingdom will flourish more and more. He will be a strict moralist, never spoke a lie to anyone in his life. 5 subject matters have been discussed. Who is Ishvara? Who are the living entities Jiva? Why they have forgotten that relationship because of Maya? How Kala is destroying this whole material existence? And how the Jiva is bound by karma based on his activities under 3 modes of Maya. All right. So that's the end of our Bhagavad Gita discussions. Yes, Prabhuji, we'll take discussions, questions now. Krishna House GR, your hand is raised. Hare Krishna.
Sorry, Guruji, it was me. It was from before. Sorry, I forgot to lower it down.
Thank you. Okay. Anything else? Any discussion, questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, Jai Shri Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, we hear that the first of all, Prabhuji, very grateful. It was very connecting session. Just the time went by, didn't notice. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, one inquiry is, Prabhuji, about the sannyas aspect. When we were discussing, we heard that the first level of that is when we don't worry about the results. Like success comes or failure comes, that's the first level. and then later on, the attachment to the work also goes away. So, Prabhuji, I was considering like when we are serving, like let's say in the preaching activities, Prabhuji, like let's say we are, so that way sometimes there is a success, sometimes there is a failure in the sense that the devotees don't connect. The they it was just like, in fact, they don't connect. So it seems like a failure. So that way, that feeling comes, but I'm not the doer at that time. Also, whatever empowerment Lord gave me, whatever interest Lord arose in their hearts, that's all planned by Lord. But then contemplation goes on that something improvement could have been done. So this contemplation is good, Prabhuji, or is it not good? Like I was thinking on that. Prabhuji.
Thank you for that. I mean, to certain extent, we can contemplate Prabhu, but generally speaking, Krishna speaks through us, Prabhu. Generally speaking, if somebody doesn't connect, if somebody does not connect and they go away, it's not our fault. Somebody connects and come to Krishna, not our gain. They are continuing from previous life. Krishna wanted to bring them in. We were used as an instrument. They were not ready and they could not understand. Again, it's up to Krishna. We are trying to become the instruments. We are trying to serve. Depression, not good. Again, it comes from the same perspective. Well, if Krishna wanted, Krishna could have made it excellent. Krishna purifies us also, Prabhu, because we also, while speaking, we may speak from like an impure platform also. That is also there. That won't take people away, but then when we speak to direct somebody or we displease somebody while we speak, a reaction will be there. Nobody will go away. People may not be very much inspired. It's okay. But because Krishna wants us also to work on our motive or work on our own. I mean, there are so many angles, Prabhu. Another angle is also how connecting we are in our discussions is based on our current chanting on that day also, Prabhu. If you are absorbed, you'll be able to connect naturally. If you're not absorbed, you won't be able to connect. It will be difficult to connect. So there are those factors also. Where are we the doer? No, we are still not the doer. Krishna wanted us to go through that experience because for some reason Krishna is unhappy. But we will not be damaging the service, Prabhu, because what we do in any circumstances is we depend on Krishna. And Krishna can make the worst experience into the best. We take a humble position. Krishna, any mistake from my side? Krishna, please forgive me. I understand my consciousness was not good. Should not have done that. Now we take shelter of Krishna and Krishna says, I will offer you protection. That is also there. So there's so many angles and aspects, Prabhu, that are coming to my mind. I'm just opening my heart. Is it all right, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. It is humbling. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anything else? All right, thank you all very much. If I spoke anything wrong, please forgive me as a humble servant. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grateful to all of you for joining and listening. Hare Krishna. We will release the assignment today. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hari Bol.
Thank you.